Stop waiting. Start becoming. Welcome to Becoming with Beck, the podcast for those ready to shift their mindset, lead themselves, and manifest intentionally. If you know you're meant for more, you're in the right place. Let's begin. Hello and welcome back to Becoming with Beck. I'm your host, Beck Robinson, and thank you so much for joining me today. Now, I want to say something to you today that might feel a little uncomfortable at first, and I need you to hear it not as criticism, but as one of the most loving and liberating things anyone has ever said to me. No one is coming to save you. And I don't mean that in the literal sense of if you're in an emergency and you call someone, no one's going to save you. But I mean it in a way of it's not a partner, not a mentor, not a lucky break, not the algorithm or the economy, not the stars aligning, not even the perfect morning routine or the right manifestation technique. No one is coming to save you if you want to make a change in your life. And here's the thing, that's not a tragedy. That is actually the most empowering truth you will ever sit with if you let it land properly. Because on the other side of that sentence is this one, which means you are the one who gets to. Today we're going deep on radical self-responsibility, on what it actually means to stop waiting and start moving, on the uncomfortable, beautiful, non-negotiable truth that nothing in your life changes until you do. And we're going to talk about why, even when we know this, we still wait, we still defer. You still find 1,000 reasons to not quite go yet, because understanding the why is how we actually stop. Let's get into it. I want to start by naming something that I think a lot of us do and do so quietly, so automatically that we don't even realize it's happening. We wait. We wait for the right time, for more money, more confidence, more clarity. We wait until the kids are older, until work settles down, until we feel ready. We wait for someone to give us permission. We wait for a sign. We wait for someone to see us, choose us, validate us, open the door. We are, so many of us, living our lives in a waiting room. And the cruelest part of the waiting room is this. It feels responsible. It feels like patience. It even feels sometimes like wisdom. But there is a difference, a very important difference between intentional, grounded patience and passive, fear-based waiting. And most of us, if we're really honest, know exactly which one we're in. Patience is trusting the process while you move. Waiting is standing still and calling it a plan. So where does this come from? Why do so many of us, smart, capable, deeply intentional people, find ourselves stuck in the waiting room of our own lives? The brain is wired for safety, not growth. Neuroscience gives us a very clear answer here. Your brain's primary job is not to make you happy. It's not to help you reach your potential. It is to keep you alive. And the way it does this is by keeping you in familiar, predictable, known territory. Change, even positive change, registers as a threat to your nervous system. The unknown, even if it's something you desperately want, triggers the same biological alarm response as actual danger. Your heart rate increases, your thinking narrows, your body says, don't go out there, stay here, this is safe. And so we wait, not because we're weak, not because we don't care, but because our nervous system is doing exactly what it is designed to do, protect us from the unfamiliar. The problem is the life that you want lives in the unfamiliar. It always has. There's also a deeper psychological layer here, and I think it's worth naming directly. Some of us are waiting because somewhere along the line, we absorbed the belief that we are not the kind of person who goes after things. That boldness, ambition, self-direction, those are for other people. People who are more confident, more gifted, more deserving. We learnt to be small, to be accommodating, to not take up too much space or want too much or ask for too much. And that story, however it got there, is the real thing keeping you in the waiting room. Not the circumstance, not timing, not the economy or your schedule or any other very convincing reasons the mind comes up with. The story is the cage, and you are the one holding the key. Let's talk about the second piece of this, because I think it's where the real work lives. Nothing changes if nothing changes. It sounds almost too simple, doesn't it? Like something you'd see on a fridge magnet and scroll past. But I want you to sit with it for a second. Really sit with it. Because I think it's one of the most radical and unrespected truths in the personal development space. We spend a lot of time in this world, in the manifestation world, in the mindset world, the self-development world, learning concepts, accumulating frameworks, listening to podcasts. And all of that is genuinely valuable. Understanding how your mind works, how your nervous system operates, how your beliefs shape your reality, that knowledge matters. But knowledge without action is just well-informed staying still. The gap between knowing and doing is where most dreams go to die. Here's what I see happen, and maybe you recognize this in yourself. Someone learns about identity work, they understand intellectually that they need to become a new version of themselves to create a new reality. They get it. They genuinely get it. And then they go back to thinking the same thoughts, feeling the same feelings, taking the same actions or no actions at all, and wonder why nothing is shifting. Because understanding the map is not the same as walking the terrain. Transformation is not a concept you consume. It's a choice you make, and then you make again every single day. Joe Dispenza talks about this in terms of the quantum field. He says that your current life, everything you see, touch, measure, is a result of your past thoughts, emotions, and behaviors. It is literally your past made visible. So if you want a different future, you cannot keep living from your past. You cannot keep thinking the same thoughts, reading from the same emotional patterns, choosing the same familiar behaviors, and expect something different to appear. The field responds to what you are, not what you want, which means the change has to happen inside first, in your thoughts, in your emotional state, in your identity, in your daily choices, even the small ones, especially the small ones. The compound effect of small choices. I want to talk about this because I think we massively underestimate it. We tend to look for the big moment, the dramatic turning point, the decision that changes everything in one go. And sometimes those moments exist, but far more often the life you want is built, brick by brick, from decisions that seem almost too small to matter. The decision to get up when the alarm goes off instead of scrolling for 40 minutes. The decision to speak to yourself with respect instead of criticism. The decision to take action you've been putting off, even imperfectly, even incompletely, instead of waiting until you feel ready. The decision to be right now a little more like the person you are becoming. None of those feel significant in isolation, but compounded over weeks, months, years, they are everything. They are literally the construction of a new identity, a new neural architecture, a new life. Every small choice is a vote for the person you are becoming. You do not need a perfect score, you just need a consistent majority. Nothing changes if nothing changes. And the beautiful, sometimes terrifying truth is that change doesn't begin out there in your circumstances. It begins in here, in your decision to be someone different, starting now with what you have from where you are. I want to be careful here because I think radical self-responsibility can sometimes be used as a weapon. a way of dismissing real structural barriers, real pain, real circumstance. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is something softer and more powerful than that. It's the decision to focus your energy on what you can influence rather than what you cannot. It's the choice to be the author of your story rather than a character things happen to. It's the willingness to ask, genuinely, honestly, what is my part in this? What can I change? What am I not doing that I know I should be? That's it. That's the whole practice. Self-responsibility is not self-blame. This distinction matters enormously, and I don't want to gloss over it. Self-blame says, this is your fault. You should have done better. What's wrong with you? Self-responsibility says, I have more agency here than I've been using, and I'm choosing, starting now, to use it. One contracts you, one expands you. One keeps you stuck in shame. One moves you forward with power. The goal is never to beat yourself up for the waiting room years. The goal is to walk out of the waiting room and not go back. 3 questions to ask yourself right now. I want to leave you with something practical. 3 questions that I think cut through the noise and get you to the truth of where you actually are. Question 1. What am I waiting for? And is it real? Get honest. Are you waiting for something that genuinely needs to happen before you can move? Or are you waiting for the fear to go away? Because here's the truth. The fear doesn't go away first. You move and then it eases. Courage is not the absence of fear. It's the decision that something else matters more. Question 2. What would the version of me who isn't waiting do today? Not eventually, not when the time is right, today, right now. What's one thing she would do, even a small thing, that the current version of you has been putting off? Do that thing. Not because it will change everything immediately, but because it is a vote. It is a signal to yourself and to your nervous system that you are someone who moves. Question 3. What story am I telling myself about why I can't? And is it true? This one requires real honesty. The story we tell ourselves about our limitations are often the most sophisticated, the most convincing, and the least examined things in our lives. Pull the story out into the light. Look at it directly. Ask, is this actually true? Or is this my nervous system keeping me safe in the waiting room? You are not behind. You are not late. You are not too much or too little or too anything. You are just someone who hasn't started yet, and starting is always available to you. Here's what I want you to carry out of today's episode. No one is coming to save you. And that is the best news you will ever receive, because it means the life you want is not dependent on anyone else's choices, anyone else's timeline, anyone else's permission. It is dependent on yours. Nothing changes if nothing changes, which means every single day you have an opportunity not to overhaul your entire life, not to make some grand dramatic gesture, but to make one significantly different choice than you made yesterday. To be, by just a fraction, more like the person you are becoming. That is enough. That is, in fact, everything. So what is one thing you're going to do differently today? I want to genuinely know. Come and tell me over on Instagram and let's hold each other to it. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for doing this work. It matters. You matter more than you know. If this episode resonated with you, then please leave a review as it really supports my channel, and be sure to leave a comment on what one thing you're doing differently today. I would love to hear it. Thank you so much for listening, and I will talk to you in the next episode.